In this short video, we are going to introduce CMIT faculty to the grading requirements for TestOut LabSim labs. So let's get started. We will cover the miscellaneous grading information, a step-by-step overview, TestOut LabSim labs, the grading formula used to calculate TestOut LabSim labs, and go through a manual and automated example to reinforce the aforementioned. For TestOut LabSim, the current requirement is for students to complete the labs. They are not required to complete the exam questions for each section. These are optional, but highly encouraged as they offer a great opportunity to practice for the end of semester exam. For those faculty new to TestOut, the terms may be a bit confusing. Each section of TestOut LabSim offers labs and exam questions related to the material they just learned. While the exam questions are optional, again, they are highly encouraged because they will help students in achieving a higher grade on the final exam at the end of the semester. Beyond helping students prepare for the end of semester exam, it also helps those students wishing to sit for the CompTIA exam associated with each CMIT class. For example, CompTIA A+ for CMIT 202, CompTIA Network Plus for CMIT 265, and CompTIA Security Plus for CMIT 320. It is also important to post an announcement to students explaining how grading will be performed. For CMIT 265, grades are cumulative over time. That is, students begin at 0, and as they successfully complete labs, their grades will increase. A draft announcement post is provided for faculty to use that explains to students how the labs are calculated. Visit the content section of your Leo class and then navigate to the faculty-only information and click on TestOut LabSim Grading Announcement. Let's take a look at the methods of grading TestOut LabSim labs. In this video, we are going to cover two methods of grading TestOut LabSim labs each week. That is, a manual process whereby the faculty downloads the spreadsheet and computes the values each week, and an automated process whereby faculty set up custom reports for the class they are teaching. Kudos to Mr. Kurt Stevie for pointing the latter method out. So what are the steps faculty must complete to grade TestOut LabSim labs manually? In short, they need to determine how many TestOut labs are associated with the product corresponding to the class you are teaching. Log into TestOut, download the student results, calculate the scores, and post to the Leo classroom. It sounds more complicated than it is. So you may be wondering how many labs are associated with each class and where do I find that information? As of March 1st, 2019, the following classes are associated with each of the corresponding TestOut LabSim products. The current version product number is also included. Finally, the total number of labs associated with each product are displayed in the far right column. Again, this does not include the weekly exam questions found in each product. TestOut updates their products every so often. You will know when a product is updated as the version number will change. Faculty should maintain a pulse of these changes and if the total number of labs are increased or decreased. Be aware and use that in the formula when calculating grades. To keep a pulse on the total number of labs, simply reach out to your course chair or manually count them yourself. Faculty should grade students' completion of labs required for each week. Yes, students are allowed to proceed at their own pace, but faculty should keep tabs on their progress and post grades each week. To do so, simply average the scores of the labs completed to date. This approach allows students to see the overall TestOut LabSim scores increase each week as they progress. There is a draft announcement posted in the faculty-only information of the class that will assist in communicating this approach to the students. As for the grading formula, depending on what product you use, whether it be Google Sheets, Microsoft Excel, or some other spreadsheet, you can sum the labs completed to date and divide by the total number of labs, or use the average function of the total number of labs. The choice is yours. Let's take a look at an example. Faculty should navigate to testout.com. Next, you will want to click on Log In and enter your credentials. The splash screen that appears shows your different classes that you are teaching. You will want to click on the far right-hand column where it says Reports. Next, you will want to view the class gradebook and run the results. Students in your class for their labs and exam questions. Remember, we are not going to grade the exam questions. So navigate to the far left-hand column and uncheck the exams box. The screen should refresh and you will see only lab grades appear. Next, scroll to the far right-hand column and click on the down arrow. You will be prompted to choose a name for the spreadsheet. Next, you will want to navigate to where you saved the file and open it in whatever spreadsheet you prefer. I prefer to use Google Sheets, but you could use Microsoft Excel, LibreOffice, or any other. Now for this example, let's assume that students have just completed the first week in CMIT 265. The requirement for week 1 is labs in section 0, section 1, and section 2. So I will want to average them in the context of the overall class. That is, I will take the sum of what is completed to date and divide it by the total number of labs for CMIT 265. And there you will see. These are the grades that will be entered into our Leo Classroom gradebook under the Lab section for week 1. Naturally, as students progress and complete labs 3, labs in section 4, and labs in section 5, and so on, their percentage of overall score for the class will naturally increase. And this is what is explained in the faculty-only message that you are to post to the class on how we perform TestOut LabSim grading. Now let's take a look at that announcement I've been talking about. Log in to your CMIT 265 Leo Classroom, select Content, scroll down to the faculty-only information, and take a look at the CMIT 265 TestOut LabSim grading announcement. You're going to want to post this in week 1. And here it shows you exactly what to say, and it explains to the students how they will be graded via the TestOut LabSim labs. If there is any confusion, please reach out to your course chair. Now that we have seen how to manually calculate TestOut LabSim scores, let's take a look at the automated method. Faculty will want to navigate to the TestOut website, authenticate with your username and password, and you will be presented with the splash screen. We will want to click on Reports once again, but instead of running the class gradebook, this time we're going to select the Custom tab. We are going to select the Add tab, and we're going to create manually. We're going to name our report. We're going to select the product, and for 265 it's TestOut Network Pro. And now the very important part, we're going to choose our resources. Now, for week 1 grades, I know students must complete sections 0, 1, and 2. But you don't just want to select everything. You want to select only the labs because that's what we're grading. And in this case, the labs are highlighted as a mouse icon. So you just want to click the plus for each. Once finished, click Done. Now we may create our report. Now we can run this report at any time. The value of creating these so-called semi-automated grade books is that you can transfer these from semester to semester, from class to class. And how you do that is by, again, selecting the Add button. And instead of creating it manually, we're going to create using an existing custom gradebook. And that's where you will transfer your previous lab in. Now, select Run, and you will see something very similar to the class gradebook. You'll want to select the percentage as opposed to points, and you want the highest scores, not the average scores, because remember, students can take the labs as many times as they prefer. Then, to complete, simply download the file and perform your calculation. The step-by-step instructions are also posted in the Faculty Only section of Leo. So to navigate, select Content, Information, and scroll down to the CMIT 265 TestOut LabSim Grading Report tutorial. Select that, and you will see the step-by-step instructions on creating your own custom report for any particular class. And that is how you use the semi-automated manual method of grading TestOut LabSim labs. This concludes how to grade TestOut LabSim labs in either a manual or a semi-automated manner. If you have any questions about any of the information discussed in this video, please reach out to your course chair. Here are a few resources you may use if you have questions on how to grade LabSim labs, specifically how to perform functions within each of Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel.